Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Fanalysis by Fanalytics. Today we're going to be talking about the template team in fantasy football. I got Matt on the line with me here and we're just going to run through each position, each slot, who's the highest owned players, and what do we think? Do we think the highest owned players are worth it, or are they hidden gems in the mist?
Yeah, and I think before we even get into the players, I think the big thing to think about with template team is how close do you want to run to the
Mm,
template team? There's two
true.
ways to look at it. You can think, right, I want to be as close to that. I want to play it safe. You don't want to get too far behind early because you will just be playing catch up.
Yep.
But I don't know. For me, I don't like seeing too many of my guys on there. I want my guys to be like these little gems that only I'm sort of thinking about, you know?
Yeah.
I want that balance, I think.
Do you
I
have
want
a
a half and half.
do you have a set number, or you like five or
Nah,
six
nah,
players?
I
Oh no.
just if I see my entire team there, then I make changes. That's my plan.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think this season, as we spoke the last podcast, because we have that first wild card mid-season, we can
Yeah.
probably take more risks. I would probably go less differential, different kind of more gems and more kind of see who the hidden gems are more so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, every year there's always going to be those guys, whether it's cheap guys, it might even be mid-range guys that simply overlooked.
Yeah,
You might think they just haven't had a good season last year or something. You don't really think about them, and then just suddenly they hit the ground running. There will always be those players, and you want to be the person that had them from week one, just getting those slight gains on everyone else, right?
yeah. So like last season it was like Antonio, Benrahma, but obviously I think the most owned player last season was Luke Shaw, which I found interesting.
What in week one?
Yeah, before week one, Luke Shaw was the most selected player.
It's it is kind of weird to think about now, but casting our mind back, he was coming off that goal in the Euro final, wasn't he?
Exactly, yeah.
So I could kind of see what's the recency bias to that.
Yeah, and there's Varane, Ronaldo, Sancho, Man
Yeah,
United were there.
there was a lot of hype on Man United.
But yeah, I found that interesting because I did a little bit of research for the 21-22
Mm,
season, see how game week one bears to your choices. And they
yeah,
were like Luke Shaw was the standout one. Obviously Salah, everyone had Salah, and he
yeah,
actually performed to expectation. But most players, they were definitely they didn't after 8 game weeks they didn't like exceed what mid-priced or low-priced ownership players did.
yeah.
So it's worth taking the risk. But let's see the first position. So I think the top goalkeeper is Mendy from Chelsea.
Yeah, I know that there has been a lot of talk about Mendy, and I think people see him as that sort of he's right in the middle
Yeah,
where you're either getting your premium, the premiums Allison and Edison 5.5, and then you've got your 4.5s who, good keepers, but might not be able to rely on them week to week. Mendy somehow fits right into the middle where you're sort of convincing yourself, yeah, I'm getting a premium guy here,
yeah.
but it's that 500,000 saving that I think is really enticing people.
I'm surprised they priced him at 5 million, not 5.5. Chelsea like the third best defense.
Well, thinking about Chelsea last season, for half a season they had maybe even the best defense.
Yeah,
But they were a very random team, especially towards the end of the season. They conceded 4 goals at home to Brentford. They conceded 4 goals at home to Arsenal. They got really weird towards the end of last season, and that was even with Rudiger in the team. And you
yeah.
know,
I forgot about that. That's a
I'm
huge miss.
just yeah, I don't know. I think it's a wait and see with Chelsea because I'm not sure how they're going to start this season.
Yeah, attack or defense really.
Yeah, yeah, and the preseason if preseason is anything to go by, they don't look very ready for
Was
week one. A lot
last
could change. Yeah, we beat them 4-0 in preseason. I mean, look, it's preseason. I'm not going to get too excited, but
win league?
it's worrying when your players look that far off the pace in preseason. I'll say that.
Yeah, I saw Tuchel's comments about the players not focused, they're not ready, they're thinking about something else.
Yeah, I mean, to get that in a preseason game, I mean, you really have to not be not be there, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, Mendy is a great keeper though, and I can see why people are doing it, especially if you combine it with a 4 million keeper just to sit on the bench.
Yeah, that's true. Like 5 million, it's a good price, but if it's 5.5, I don't think many people would choose him. 5 million is a good
Yeah, no, look, if you're going to go 5.5, you go Allison
or Edison.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, Edison will get the clean sheets. Yeah, I guess there's not too much difference between them in fantasy terms. I think Allison will probably net you a few more save points, maybe, but
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, much more save points.
yeah, definitely.
And then who was the goalkeeper or the other? Is
Gaz
Gazinga?
Gazaniga, yeah, for
Gazzaniga.
Fulham.
Was it at Spurs?
He was at Spurs, yeah. I mean, I guess when you're picking a 4 million keeper, he's not really going to start.
No.
Um, yeah, I don't know why. There always just seems to be one 4 million keeper that everyone just picks.
Yeah, I have no idea why.
Everyone picks. I don't know why, because I don't really think Gazaniga is going to start in week one.
No.
They're about to sign Bern Leno from Arsenal.
Are they? That's
Yeah,
very
that
interesting.
that should. I think they finally agreed terms, Arsenal and Fulham. So that's going to happen in the next few days. Keepers, I don't think he'll need too much bedding in. It's just
No. He's an excellent
he's
shot stopper as well.
step
So
between step between the posts. So yeah,
get in line.
yeah. So Gazan, I mean, look, it's 4 million keeper.
There was actually a one report today, might not happen, but Schmeichel might be leaving Leicester City. So
Yes, I did hear that.
if he
I did.
leaves, Joel Ward is now the 4 million keeper who might start for Leicester City.
Ooh, that is interesting, actually. I'd be surprised if they left themselves that thin
Exposed,
at
yeah.
their position. But I know Leicester do need to get their wage bill down,
Oh,
and
do
if
they? Okay.
Tielemans doesn't get sold, seems like I think a few teams are just waiting for next summer when he's available on a free.
Isn't he going to sign a contract extension? I think one year extra contract extension, from what I heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
to
maybe.
get some kind of sell on value.
Yeah, yeah. They're normally quite good in that regard, Leicester.
Hmm.
It's rare they get to that point, but
Harry
I think
Maguire.
yeah. I mean, who was it? Kante and Mahrez before that.
Yeah, they're very
They
good at
they
selling.
they done very very well in that regard. But maybe it was just last season. It was just a slightly below par season, fell short of expectations, and
Yeah, I'm
paying
excited
the
to see what
price.
they'll do this season
Yeah, definitely.
with
Because
defenders back.
I rate Brendan Rodgers as well.
Yeah, it's
I
about that
rate him.
transition from away from Vardy and then trying to get a back four stabilized.
Yeah, they haven't found a striker that they can rely on. Ian Acho has done it in spurts.
And they got Patson Daka
Patson
who also
Daka
does it in spurts.
showed flashes. There was one game in Europe, I think he scored a hat trick or something.
Yeah, and they got
So,
Lookman as well. They
oh
got
yeah,
these
look
three
as well.
strikers
Yeah,
who can just kind of pop in, score goals, but no one.
10 between them.
Yeah,
That'll match Vardy's 30.
exactly.
Um, moving on to defenders.
Hmm.
So who's the top defender?
Top defender owned is Trent.
Trent. Yeah, it does surprise me that he's the top owned.
About 54%, so just over half.
Yeah, because look, he's obviously a great choice. He's going to get a lot of assists.
Yeah.
But for me, if I'm going down that route, I might just lean more towards Robertson, just for that 500,000 saving.
I
I
was,
know it doesn't sound like much, but
it adds up, and I've definitely
yeah,
been thinking about Robertson because with Robertson, he gets to the byline. He's more forward in a sense.
yeah,
Overlaps Diaz. Trent's taking a more deeper position, but he does have the crosses from deep anyway. So
and he has the set piece. Actually, they both have set pieces. They both
yeah,
take long free kicks and whip the ball in from either side. So yeah, I don't think there's much between them.
yeah. For point 0.5, you could probably save and get Robertson.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I'm surprised that he is the top owned, but you know he is almost like a guaranteed.
Yeah,
He's pretty close to guaranteed, and then a couple of other premiums in the template team. Cancelo and Reece James. Yeah, I think that's still premium pick
Yeah,
at 6 million. Yeah,
yeah, pretty much for defenders. Yeah, that's
Cancelo, I imagine. I mean, he played a lot last season. Now that they've lost Zinchenko, you're almost nailing him into the team even more.
yeah. He can play both sides as well. So if he plays on the left, Walker on the right, and if they get
Yeah.
Cucurella, I think they got this young prospect as well who's doing quite well. Left
Listen,
back.
Man City have so many young prospects if they want them. Their youth academy is very, very good. Cancelo's taken a number 7 shirt.
Has he?
Yeah, I'm not sure how the football purists feel about a fullback wearing a number 7, but to be fair, he is about as advanced as any other Manchester City player in that team.
Maybe fullbacks do get that kind of the sevens, the 11s. They
Yeah,
are
they get
playing the
they
wingers.
get first pick of numbers now.
Yeah.
Apparently, they are really taking over.
Yeah,
But
Cancelo's a good pick. Like, I
yeah,
don't think you can go wrong.
the one thing I will say about Cancelo is the overall sort of output in terms of assists and goals should have been way more for the way he played last season. The positions he was taking up, getting into, it's unbelievable how he only. I think he had like 5 assists or something.
Believe so.
It's something like that, and like a goal or two.
Yeah, he should definitely had a few more goals. I remember him in post a couple of times.
Yeah. Um, and he gets into all sorts of attacking positions. He's not just someone that overlaps on the outsides.
Yeah.
Game to game, they do different things with him. He's a chess piece for Guardiola. Like you see him in sort of an attacking central midfield role at times, like almost like an advanced playmaker.
Yeah, he pops along the whole kind of pitch. So if he's on the left side, he can be the half space, left
Yeah.
winger, or deep line playmaker. And on the right side,
Yeah.
he can whip them in good as anyone. Really, that's something to be forgotten about comparing him to Trent.
Yeah. But the one thing I will say about those numbers last season, he didn't have Haaland in the team.
Oh yeah, true.
Balls into the box now will be dispatched with more regularity, I feel, this season if Haaland's on the end of them. So he could be a very, very good option at 7 million.
Yeah, I forgot about the Haaland presence.
Yeah,
They've got
changes
that
everything.
added aerial threat they don't used to have.
Yeah. Now Reece James, he was the ultimate tease last season, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He'd have 2 unbelievable weeks. You'd think he's nailed on, and then he's either not playing or he's playing at centre back for some reason.
Yeah, him and Chilwell exactly the same. They'll
Yeah.
ball massively, and then everyone gets in the bandwagon, and then he's just nowhere to be seen. Gets
Yeah.
injured, or is not even playing in the squad, or plays right centre back, which is strange. But
Not a use of his skills. He can play centre back, that's fine, but you are losing, I think, what he does well when you do that. And Tuchel has shown like a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
They always play that system, but they do it in very different ways, like week to week. Like he's played Ziyech at right wing back for like spells as well, which sort of leaves Reece James either playing centre back or not playing at all.
yeah, that's true.
So I do think he's a little bit of a riskier one, and for the same reasons as Mendy, maybe a little bit of a question mark over Chelsea assets at the start of the season.
Yeah, I would
Chelsea
agree with that.
defenders.
They don't have
Yeah.
all their players in. A lot of players want to leave. I think like Ziyech and Pulisic want to leave. Aspilicueta, Alonso want to go Barcelona.
Yeah, as Piliqueta going should at least free up Reece James to play more regularly because
Yeah.
they often interchanged last season.
But Chelsea are
But
going for Kunde and Dumfries. So Kunde is obviously a right centre back, and then Dumfries.
Humphreys is a right wing back.
Yeah,
That's very interesting, actually. So, I would,
hold off.
yeah, hold off. Not steer clear, but keep him in the back of your mind. Maybe the first few weeks.
Do you hear that, man? Just 40% of you. Matt tells you wrong.
40%.
Yeah, 41%.
Wow.
The next who didn't get into the template team is Perisic with 32%.
Yeah, and I really, from the start, I wouldn't, but he is definitely someone that I am thinking about and keeping an eye on because even with the rotation risks that we keep talking about with the condensed schedule and even the five subs
Yep.
that comes into it, I think Perisic will play a lot. He's always been someone when he was. I remember the Croatia semi-final against England. He just runs for days. He never stops, and that wing back position, that's what Conte demands of his players. It's no wonder he's brought Perisic with him to Spurs.
Yeah, he seems like a perfect fit as well.
Yeah, I think Tottenham's defense was pretty good at the back end of last season. Christian Romero in particular was very, very good. I think it would be just as good, if not better, at the start of this season.
Especially with
Um,
Basuma kind of screwing defense as well. But they do have Pierre as well.
yeah, yeah, but it's a more settled Conte system from the start of the season. Tottenham could be a very, very good team, and Perisic is definitely someone I'm looking out for because he's a winger by nature. He's an out of position defender in real play anyway.
Yeah, he's the classic, like you say, Conte wingback. Like remember Alonso and was it Victor
Victor
Moses?
Moses,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
Victor
Chelsea,
Moses,
and
yeah,
they were killing it as well. So
yeah. I think it is the most important position for Conte's system, and the fact that Conte has targeted him means look out.
yeah, speaks wonders. And obviously he's played at Inter wingback last season, so
Yeah,
easy
yeah,
transition for
exactly,
him.
exactly. So we come to the sort of cheaper options, and the interesting one in that template team
Mhm.
is Tomiyasu for Arsenal.
Yeah, he was the cheapest. So after Nico Williams, so Nico Williams is
Nico
24,
Williams for 4 million. He's a great option because I think he'll start. I mean, obviously he is coming in to a side that's just been promoted.
Yeah,
You never know what you're going to get with teams like that, but at 4 million, I think it's worth the risk.
yeah, 4 million. You get to save money, and if he at least gets 2 points every week, it's all right.
Yeah, it usually means that you've saved up for a premium elsewhere. So it's not necessarily the points he gets; it's the points he's getting you elsewhere by that money saved. But Tomiyasu, yeah, 4.5. I think a reason a lot of people have gone for him is he's if all things being equal, all Arsenal players being fit,
Yeah,
he is the cheapest nailed on starter. I think.
that's true. With Saliba
Uh,
coming in, you don't know whether Ben White's gonna be dropping.
yeah, I'd find it hard to think that Ben White would be dropped from the go.
Yep.
I certainly see by the end of the season the partnership being Saliba and Gabriel.
Yeah.
That is definitely. I see that as being the future partnership because
You,
they both look very good. But
and, and you
yeah,
need
Tommy
Gabriel's kind
Asu,
of aerial kind of duels as
yeah,
well.
yeah, exactly. But Tommy Asu, and listen, he was a very, very good player for Arsenal last season. I really liked him. I had him in my team when Arsenal were flying um, during like late November, December last year. Tommy
Yeah.
Asu was racking up the points, but injury concerns with Tommy Asu, it's an ongoing thing.
It's
He
happening
hasn't.
a few times now, right? Like end of last season, he had that
So
ankle injury.
yeah, he had a calf injury from January, like a muscular one.
Yep.
Started to train, got a muscular injury in his other calf, and then he hasn't played in pre-season. Well, I think he did, but very briefly. He's picked up another slight knock, so it could be a lingering sort of ongoing thing with with him. So it is risky from the start to go with him because I don't know if he's going to start in week one. It might be Ben White at right back, to be honest.
Yeah, I reckon that'll be changing. Like I think the template will change for that
Yeah,
slot. In terms of the other defenders who couldn't fit into that slot, but were highly owned was Cash and Trippier and Van Dijk, all about 20-25%.
yeah. I mean, I definitely like Trippier at 5 million
Yep.
because we've spoken about this before with Newcastle. We think they're going to be a lot better, certainly with fantasy assets. I think this year, I think the defense just what they did at the back end of last season
Yeah,
would be very impressive, and just a few more additions to that team, a bit more balanced.
yeah, they got Nick Pope now, Sven Botman. So that back four looking pretty good. So
Yeah, Nick
Trippier,
Nick Nick Pope might be an interesting one. What's he coming at 5?
I think 5. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He used to be a fantasy favorite
And then last
back at
season he was
Burnley.
5.5, but he didn't do very well
Yeah,
for that
yeah.
price range.
So the price tag, it weighs heavily on people, man. But yeah, that moves us nicely into the midfield, and obviously start off with the main man, Mo Salah.
Oh, thought we were going to talk about Son.
Well,
Yes.
he's not in the template
Yeah,
team. He is highly owned, obviously.
yeah, he couldn't fit in the price because obviously you can only have
No.
Salah or Son, or if you're JC,
Yeah, I was gonna
Fernandez.
say, I'm still not sure what he's done there.
But yeah, let's talk about Salah. 56%
But yeah,
owned.
so I say it's essentially people have gone Salah over Son. Um, it's obvious why. I mean, I don't think we need to discuss at great length why you would pick Mo Salah for your fantasy team.
You haven't been playing
Um,
if you have.
I think it's more interesting to wonder why you wouldn't, and I think is the only reason why is you feel Son is as good an option as Salah, or close enough where that million that you save and can use elsewhere will actually be very, very useful. That's for me the only reason why you wouldn't put Mo Salah in your fantasy team.
Yeah, that's true.
From the start this season.
It is the Son factor.
Yeah,
But I guess everyone's going to have in their minds the first half of last season where he got like 83 points.
yeah.
And the nearest other person got like, I think 60 or something, 60 or 50. It's a big gamble.
It is a big game, and you know, even at the back end of last season, where he sort of got criticised or wasn't quite up to his high standards, he was still collecting points. He will always collect points. Um, in that Liverpool side that almost feels built to his sort of strengths, really.
Yeah, that's an interesting comment because if Nunes has come in, he's a goal scorer. They can't have Salah the goal scorer, Nunes the goal scorer.
Not if you read Twitter. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Like they've usually operated in the past without that sort of number 9.
Yep.
As of Man City, it's quite interesting that they've both gone for those options at the same time.
They needed a direct option, I guess.
They are just linked at the hip, those two teams, and I think Guardiola and Klopp will walk off together. They'll just be holding hands, walking off into the sunset a couple of years' time. But yeah, that is interesting, and how effective Luis Diaz was at the back end of last season, and he's also in the template team.
Yep.
And I think he's an absolutely brilliant option in FPL.
See, for me, I love him as a player. For FPL option, I'm probably don't think he's not a bad option, but I think he's not as enticing because I think he's more the progressor. So he gets the ball in the wing, he progresses it 20, 30 yards, gets near the box. He can probably get assists. He does take a lot of long shots.
Yeah.
But I do see him passing it to a Nunes or Salah, and then it's their turn to do whatever they want to do near the box. So
it will, yeah. I get that. It will be interesting to see how they all sort of fit together.
yeah,
Because like historically with those 3 players, they are all 3 goal scorers. Diaz, before he joined Liverpool, was a goal scorer.
yeah, true.
For, was it Porto?
Yeah, Porto.
So, you know, they can't all score hat tricks every week.
Someone has to take the brunt.
Yeah, because the classic 3 of Salah, Firmino, and Mane, there was just a perfect balance between those 3.
Yeah,
it felt like they all scored exactly the amount of goals that they were supposed to.
yeah.
True.
True.
Salah was the main guy. Mane was always, a 15 to 20 goal a season striker, and Firmino was the lowest scoring of the lot, but was so crucial to what the other 2 guys did. Help link that.
Yeah, that's a good point because they all had different roles in the team, and now we seem like Luis Diaz, Salah, they're both kind of like the dribblers that get into the half space and shoot a lot. And then you got Nunez, who also likes to go in the left half space and then shoot a
Yeah,
lot. Who's going to be the creative link? They might change the way they play, but that front three kind of dynamic was always the one that I think it's dangerous. Who
yeah,
you can't drop off Firmino because if he gets the ball, he'll connect Salah and Mane, and Mane's always running in behind. But they got a lot of runners in behind now, at least.
yeah, yeah. So that could be a reason why you go with Salah, known quantity, and even if there is that slight sort of uncertainty between those three, and Jota obviously fits in there somewhere as well. We shouldn't forget about him.
Yeah, true.
But you still feel that even if Liverpool maybe the chemistry isn't quite there at the start of the season, Salah will still just score the goals that they need.
Yeah, they'll get chances as always,
Yeah,
no matter what
of course. So now we go into the much cheaper options. Actually, should we talk about the premiums that sort of we can't fit into this team price wise? Like
So
obviously Son. What's his ownership? It's like
Son is 26%.
yeah, yeah. That just strikes me as you can't fit Son and Salah.
Yeah, because it's interesting because Diaz is about 28%. So it's like if you don't have Salah, you have Diaz and Son.
Yeah,
Get that cover for Salah, and then obviously Son being the main
it
man.
it does surprise me that it's that low because that seems to me okay. Yes, if you've picked Salah, that's fair enough. But it also means you've probably gone premium for one of the top end premiums at striker as well, either Haaland
Yeah,
or Kane.
it must be. Yeah,
And if you had to choose between Son or Kane or Haaland, I don't know. I think Son would register more than that sort of 25% that he's sort of hovering around.
yeah, you think of because he's quite consistent. Like I think every season they've compared his minutes to his goal and assists, and as he's played more minutes, he has got more goals and assists. That's quite a
Yeah.
nice trend line I saw somewhere.
Yeah, I can't ever really remember a time where Son was in a bad run of form.
Yeah,
Can you?
no, I can't remember either. I can't remember being sent off
Yeah,
at one
genuinely. I
time.
mean, I can remember Tottenham having some really bad runs, but Son's just consider even Kane had a terrible run at the start of last season,
Yeah,
but not Son.
yeah, he's Mr. Consistent. Be
Yeah,
interesting with Son. Obviously, he plays in that left, kind of, I guess, left winger, but it's kind of left striker.
yeah,
Now they got Richarlison, who can also play that position. They also got
bit,
Kulusevski.
bit of rotation option.
Yeah, obviously 5 subs, so they might play, but then they won't play for the full 60 minutes. How much
Yeah,
damage can they do?
because Conte's always seemed like much more of a listen. This is my 11, and
Yeah,
they're going to play 95% of the games this year. That was how it was at Chelsea a few years ago. So it'd be interesting to see how he takes to the 5 subs and how they deal with the run of games and the condensed schedule because they got Champions League as well
yeah,
to
that's
think
true.
about.
Yeah,
Um, that would be interesting, but yeah, I think Son will still play the majority of the games.
yeah,
I
he'll
think
get up.
Kulusevski would the one I'd more worry about maybe out of those three.
Yeah, and he had excellent when he first came in, right?
Yeah,
Goal assist, I think, nearly every game, pretty
very
much.
very quiet in fantasy terms. Kulusevski, there's not much love for him.
Guess 8 million is quite a aggressive market. You got Saka, Madison, what else you got?
Yeah, Diaz.
Diaz, Sancho, Mount.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like people have maybe forgotten Kulusevski. I mean, if we're going off, sort of form, then it's hard to take last season's
Yeah,
back end of last season into the start of the next season. But you know, he was so good for Spurs.
yeah. That Kulusevski, Son, Kane. That was quite fun
Yeah,
to
that's
watch.
actually a pretty scary trio. Maybe one of the best in the league, if not the best.
Yeah, true. Especially if they play on the counter
Yeah,
against big teams. That's a good thing about Spurs. If they play against big team, normally your mind would think, okay, let's just not have those assets. But against big teams, I would probably back them.
it's a good point actually. Yeah, because you're almost trained sort of week to week when you look at the fixtures. When you see, like, City away,
Yeah.
Liverpool away, okay, bench.
Yeah.
You put them on the bench, but Tottenham do actually historically do, or last few seasons anyway, do very, very well in those games.
Especially against City. Remember Kane's performance?
Yeah,
Absolutely wrecked him.
they just seem to have City's number. They did under Pochettino.
Yeah. Every manager seems to, if they've got the Spurs, especially with Kane and Son, right? How
Yeah,
can you stop that if you're City with a high line and Son can drive in, Kane can pick a pass from anywhere?
yeah. I do really like Kane. He can be whatever striker you need him to be in that game.
Lovely guy as well.
Yeah. You can't have anything against Harry Kane.
I guess the next person after Son is interesting. Andreas Pereira, from Man
Yeah,
United to Fulham, 4.5 million
4.5
starter.
million.
Yeah,
Looks to be a nailed on starter. Also, he's sharing corner duties and sort of long free kick duties, I think, with Harry Wilson.
yeah.
Is Harry Wilson coming in at 4.5 as well?
I'm not too sure. I can't see him here.
Can't actually remember. But yeah, Pereira is a great option at 4.5.
Yeah,
Again, like we were saying for Nico Williams with the defenders and Gazaniga for the goalkeepers, it's not so much what they're going to do. It's always nice if they can chip in with assists. That's why, these sort of free kick takers and stuff are valuable. But it's more what they give you elsewhere in that money that you can save.
yeah, true. And he's a starter for Fulham. He's playing the number 10 role, I think. Or he'll play number 10 centre mid role. It's always a
Yeah,
good position.
he's an attacking midfielder by trade. And it didn't really work out for him at United ever, but I think there is a good player there.
Yeah, there's some glimpses.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's a good solid bench option. Him, Nico Williams, I expect to see him pretty much every single team I'll see.
yeah.
How could you not?
Yeah, I think those lower price template guys, you absolutely have to have them.
Yeah.
You just want to load up at the start of the season on everyone else. See who comes out firing.
And the next player is Neto, the one that JC said, and it was a secret
Yep,
weapon. But
secret weapon.
20% have got him in already.
Yeah, well, either a lot of people were listening to that, or what's more than likely is that JC wasn't quite the groundbreaking genius he thought he might be. Yeah, I mean, that is quite surprising
I
to
think it's
me. And
pre-season really. He's doing bits in pre-season. I think.
yeah,
I think 4
because
goals and assists. I think, or 3 goals and assists.
I do worry about a team that based on goals scored last season should have been relegated or close to relegation at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's coming back from injury.
Yeah.
But like you say, he's having a good pre-season, so that gives you a bit of confidence in him, and should be a starter.
Yeah, and when he does play, he does perform well.
I do remember a couple of years ago when he was quite regularly in the Wolves team. I think he was in and out of my fantasy team.
Yeah.
In fairness, a lot of people were in and out. It was a complete mess what I was doing that year, but
let's not take that on board. The next player, I was quite surprised, but then in hindsight, probably not that surprised, is Coutinho. He's at 18 or nearly 19%.
Yeah, I worry about Coutinho as a fantasy asset. Even in his heydays at Liverpool, he could go hot and cold very, very quickly with little to no warning. And he came in hot last season for Villa. I remember I had him for the first couple of weeks. He was great, and then I don't know. I didn't even wait for the bad run of form. I just took him out my team. I just thought, yep, you've done your job there. I know you're not going to keep this up, and lo and behold, he didn't keep it up. Yeah. I think he still chipped in here and there, but
yeah, he came in against Man United, wrecked us, and then he went.
I remember that game. Yeah,
and then he sort of petered out a little bit. Like you said, he'll do returns maybe 1 and 4. I think he's more of an enabler. Like if you have continued team, it frees up space for like Aaron Ramsey, or if you think about all the other players, like Leon Bailey will get more space. And we got Watkins and Ings. So it's not too bad for their side.
Yeah, they've got a nasty run at the start of the season, Villa. They've got a nasty run, so I'm surprised he's owned that high, Coutinho.
Yeah. Must be just a few glimpses they see on highlight reel.
Yeah, I mean, you do feel that if Aston Villa play well, that he will be at the centre of it.
Yeah, true.
You have to feel that with Coutinho. He's that kind of player, but he does just go missing in games. I remember the Villa Arsenal game in March last year. I honestly forgot he was on the pitch, but you know he was taking a corner in the 93rd minute, and it was genuine fear.
Yeah.
That is the kind of player he is. 7 million.
Yeah.
7 million's not bad. I do think there's better options in that region, though. To be honest.
In terms of the other players that came close in that price region, in terms of over percentile, is Bruno at 17, Saka at nearly 17, and Martinelli about 14.
Martinelli, I think there'll be much more rotation with Martinelli. Saka, yes.
Yep.
And Bruno Guimaraes, yeah. That doesn't surprise me. He's been in a couple of my drafts. I've moved him in and out because I'm not sure. I think he will get points. I think he will collect points. But centre midfielders, it's not like wingers. I think when it's wingers, you have a bit more confidence that week to week they will produce. Even though he does take quite a few set pieces for them. With Trippier back in the team, it will be less set pieces.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Trippier's very, very good in that regard. But centre midfielders, I'm not so sure.
I know
I'm not so sure.
With wingers or attacking midfielders, they're high up the pitch. You just know.
Yeah.
And it's not like.
But
yeah.
Sorry, go on.
It's not like they play counter-attacking football where sometimes you can get these deep line playmakers playing long balls over the top and getting those attackers through and goal.
Yeah. I 6 million is a price point thing with Bruno. There's not many options in that sort of once you get below 7, it does start to get a bit sparse. So I can see why he is an intriguing option.
I guess it's him or Martinelli really in that role. But then you said minutes for Martinelli.
Yeah, Martinelli minutes and he can blow hot and cold at times as well.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really ever remember him doing a haul. Like he'll produce returns. I don't remember him doing like a big haul. But
no.
At 6 million, I guess you don't expect it.
Yeah, true. He might be a decent shout from the start of the season just because you feel Arsenal will go with what was going very well for them at the back end of last season, at least before it fell apart. And Martinelli was one of those very, very good things for them.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of these kind of forwards, let's go to the main man. So the highest owned player is a forward this season, and it's Jesus at 64%.
Yeah, Gabriel Jesus. I really do like the price he's coming in at.
Mm-hmm.
The fact he's basically nailed on in that centre forward position. I know he can play from wide, and maybe that sort of ability to play wide has played into why we're signing him. But make no mistake, he's been brought in as a number 9, and 4 goals in I think 4 pre-season games. He's hit the ground running.
Has he played centre forward all those 4 games?
Yeah, there's been times when he's been on this pitch at the same time as Nketiah, and they sort of interchange a little bit from left-hand side and centre forward.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think he's going to score goals. I really do.
Yeah, Arsenal have been missing that kind of guy to cut back into, and he finds space so well.
I just think he might not be this sort of
finisher.
Out and out 30 goal a season pure finisher. But I think in terms of what Arsenal want from their number 9, basically all the things that Lacazette wasn't. Lacazette was a lot of things that made him work in that number 9 role for Arsenal for so long. So for the last couple of seasons over, say, Aubameyang. But there were deficiencies, glaring deficiencies, from what we wanted from that position as well as what he gave us, and Gabriel Jesus gives us that. He's a bundle of energy.
Yeah,
he
good for
can
pressing.
drop short or spin and get in behind.
I think that's the big positive from getting behind and also finding space. He's really good at cutbacks. But the one question I have with Jesus is like, he played in an amazing Man City team and he got loads of chances, but he also missed a lot of chances. Will he be able to afford missing those kind of chances at Arsenal? Because I think that's his natural finishing ability. I don't think he's, like you said, he's not like Nketiah, he's a poacher either. So he'll get loads of chances, but he's going to miss quite a few. Will he get that many chances as he does at City?
It's true. I think he will. I think just because of the type of profile player he is, he will get more chances than, say, Lacazette got in the same Arsenal team.
True.
And I do think having Jesus up front just makes someone like Odegaard, what's he, 6.5, I think.
Yeah.
Makes him just a slightly more intriguing option because of, the type of player that Odegaard is. He can put those balls in behind defenses. He can unlock them. And Lacazette was never the striker that could take advantage of that. He wasn't going to, sneak behind the back four and outpace them or anything like that.
That's true.
Gabriel Jesus can. And there was a nice finish against Chelsea in our most recent pre-season game where he's just dinked it over the keeper. So we'll see. Sometimes strikers just need that bit of love, and they produce the goods.
True.
8 million. Back him.
Spoken like a true Arsenal fan. I guess the second most owned player is Haaland at 58% at 11.5 million.
Second most overall.
Ooh, let me see how much Salah was. Yeah, Salah at the moment is 56.
So he's just ahead of Salah.
Yeah.
That is a little bit surprising, but to be fair, I think I've got Haaland over Salah, so I shouldn't be that surprised. Yeah, even if he doesn't hit those heights that he hit at Dortmund, we keep talking about Haaland.
Yep.
How can you not? He's an intriguing proposition. Probably the best number 9 in world football right now, just in terms of everything.
You think so?
When you just put it all into the, I mean,
Benzema, Lewandowski.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Benzema has shown that goal scoring touch, but
I see what you mean. Up and coming, like big name striker, it's probably is Haaland.
I mean, listen, he's definitely in that sort of conversation of 2 or 3.
Yeah. And
to come into a Manchester City team that will create chances, and I do think, they probably haven't scored as many goals as they should over the past couple of years.
Yep.
And I do think a lot of that owes to the fact that, Aguero has left and, they just don't have that number 9 anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Haaland will be that guy for them.
They can play crosses now as well, which is
really and like we were saying with Cancelo, I think it makes Grealish a much more intriguing option. Someone who had a decent XA last season, but his assists didn't match up to that XA. I think Haaland should help that.
You know what I imagine when I imagine Haaland before he even joined? I imagine that KDB half space, that kind of right wing cross, like that Beckham kind of cross.
Yeah.
Haaland
and he's just drifted. He's just drifted off that defender or something. Yeah,
that's gonna be killer.
Yeah, I mean, that profile of striker, it makes City so much more dangerous. Before, they almost had to work the ball into the box because they didn't have that outlet getting in behind very quickly.
Yeah.
Now they do.
I guess they did have Jesus, who went out in behind from the right hand side.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Guardiola never really gave him that run of games as a number 9. Certainly not in recent years.
No, he preferred the false nine last season.
It was weird with Gabriel. I remember a few years ago when Aguero was still there, and there was periods of time where Guardiola was starting Jesus ahead of Aguero. I remember thinking, why are you benching Aguero? And then the moment Aguero leaves, suddenly, they're just not using the striker anymore. I find it very bizarre. But yeah, I think most people think that Haaland will score 20 goals this season.
Yeah, be interesting because players from the German league normally don't hit the ground running that well.
Yeah, you've mentioned that before.
And also City's signings don't really hit the ground running too. So, but
sometimes
yeah, it is Haaland. Yeah,
I do feel like if I had to guess what we're going to get with Haaland this season, I think he's going to have an okay season where he just scores like 20 Premier League goals. And there's going to be a lot of talk about how he hasn't quite lived up to the massive expectation. And there's going to be a few people sort of saying, he's not the be all end all kind of thing. But actually, he still scored 20 Premier League goals. Actually, was still very, very good. It's just the expectations are sky high, sort of thing.
Yeah, I could see him as maybe 15 goals this season, and then next season, a season after, he'll score like 40 or 30. He'll do some kind of madness. But this season, I think he has to embed into the system. He has to embed into the Premier League. And while he is an amazing player, and he'll probably score nearly every time he plays, I do think Pep, with his disposal, they do play the false nine quite often. They do have other players that can play number 9.
Do you think Guardiola will utilize that false 9 now that he has Haaland? It's one thing to bench a striker like Gabriel Jesus and play a false 9.
Yeah.
But can you imagine, like especially like with Man City, it's all about the Champions League.
Yeah,
that's where they will be judged.
That's where I think Haaland will play most of his games. I think.
Yeah.
I think Pep.
You think that's what he's been brought in to do?
Yeah,
winning the Champions League.
I think Pep will make sure that he doesn't get injured during the Premier League season. I'm sure he'll play a lot of games, but I don't think he'll play. He's not like I don't think he'll be the full-time star of that. I guess
they have signed that Alvarez as well.
Yeah. Who
I think is a little closer to Jesus in terms of profile of striker.
Yeah.
So he might get a bit of Premier League game time.
One of my Aberdeen signings there.
Oh God, didn't even know that. And then so we have our budget option for the strikers.
Sam Greenwood from Leeds.
Sam Greenwood, who was actually a signer for my Hearts team in that same Football Manager save. So
it's all nice full circle.
The circle of life. That's a bit of a weird one. He did come on a bit back end of last season, but he didn't make much of an impression, sort of goal scoring wise or anything like that. And also, they've got Bamford coming back.
Yep, they got Gerald, isn't it?
Gelhardt, Joe Gelhardt, who played a lot. He didn't really score as many as they probably would have hoped from him.
Yeah,
but that's two guys straight off the bat that you just think will play more often than Greenwood. And so? I think Greenwood's a bit more of a wide man.
Yeah.
So
true.
Sort of slightly out of position the wrong way.
I think people just want a 4.5 million, and he's had some minutes last season.
He might get some minutes. So again, like we've mentioned for every single other position, what does that sort of couple of million give you elsewhere? But I don't know. With I don't like too many of those sort of cheap options. I don't want an entire bench of just guys who are sort of saving me money. I always like to have one or two players on the bench that are still point scoring options.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Oh, England just scored. Women's Euro semi-final.
What's the score?
1-0 to England.
Lovely.
But sorry about that. I don't like too many of those guys. It is true that most years I'll come in first week and have like 20 odd points on my bench. But to be fair, that just means you're mostly picking right.
Yeah,
Because
you have a good overall team at least.
I am still of that belief that that don't just pick a starting 11.
Pick a
Because
squad.
there are people that pick sort of 11 sort of week to week, or try to plan the right 11 for a certain period of time. But I always want the squad, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what sort of, injuries in the warm up happen.
God forbid.
Just a random, resting or dropped or
Yep.
whatever. And there is, we're sure there's going to be more rotation this year.
Yeah. Especially with
Might
five
not.
subs as well.
Yeah.
There's
So
minutes to be spread around.
yeah, I think you're taking a big risk if you've just got 11 players and that's it. Go for one or two of those cheap guys. I like Andreas because he should be able to pick up the odd points here and there. Nico Williams might pick up assists,
Yep.
maybe the odd clean sheet as well if Forest are good defensively. Like sort of Brentford last season, they came up and were very, very good defensively. So
Yep, true.
I prefer
Sheffield.
those as your sort of budget options.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I guess in terms of 4.5 million strikers, the next one that was decently owned was Taylor from Nottingham Forest at 11%, and then another one was, yeah, I think that was it really. I think Archer
Yeah,
was,
Taylor's an interesting one, but with promoted teams, it's very, very hard
yeah,
because even a guy that was like a nailed on starter in the championship for that team, they might think very, very differently come Premier League time, about that guy. They might have this new signing that they've bought specifically for Premier League sort of football.
yeah, I think they have actually.
Yeah, so it's very hard to predict with those guys. I like the three strikers, like three scoring points option strikers.
That's fair enough.
If Palace have a couple of 5.5s,
Oh yeah,
um,
Matea and then
Mateta and Edouard. I think I lean towards Mateta will start, certainly from the start of the season, just because he played a lot at the back end of last season.
yeah,
Um, so it's 1 million more than say the Greenwood, but I prefer him
that's fair enough.
as an option. Yeah.
I think I'm more 11-man team, and then I'll have Andres Pereira and Nico Williams. I think as long as I get like sometimes I like the bench option for future transfers. So say I've got a mid price, a premium price. I don't feel, that I'm hesitant not to transfer or to get a double transfer and swap for the enablers.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of have it. I do like at least one kind of starting player who might get me a few points.
Because I think what the 15 gives you, 11 can definitely work.
Yeah.
I think you've got to be a lot more precise about your scheduling
Yeah, true.
if you're going to do that. You cannot do that week to week unless you want to take major hits. I think you have to say between weeks 1 and 6, these certain teams have a decent run of fixtures. I'm going to stay in those sort of teams and I'm going to pick an 11
Yep.
kind of thing. The 15 just gives you that little bit of flexibility where maybe if you aren't quite so, thorough in your sort of preparations for it, you just sort of want to be a bit looser with it, maybe go with certain form guys, try and transfer them in
Yep.
on the weeks where you can. I like that. I like that because it gives you that margin for error as well. Potentially allows you to take more risks, I think.
Yeah, we are that kind of opposite players, to be fair. So, but it serves us both well. So,
It does. The fact you beat me most years maybe thinks
no, no,
maybe
no.
I need to rethink
You
it.
keep playing the way you play. Anyway, on to the next forward. So next forward was Kane. No surprise.
Kane, yeah, it's basically Kane or Haaland, isn't it?
It's quite a big difference though. Haaland at nearly 60% and Kane 22%.
Yeah, Haaland's a sexy new signing,
Yeah.
coming from abroad, you know. you don't know what you're going to get from Haaland. You can dream of, like, 50 goals a season.
Yeah.
Kane, you know what you're going to get. He's your safe option. Even if he does what he did at the start of last season, he will probably make up for it at the back end of the season, or at least sort of catch up relatively.
And he looks sharp in preseason. I actually watched a few Spurs games. He looks
Yeah,
very fit.
very different mindset to what it was last season. He hadn't even reported for Spurs duty, I think, at this point last season. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of different atmosphere around that club in general, I think.
Yeah, I expect big things this season from Kane, as we all probably all do. But whether they choose in between the Haaland, Salah, trying to think of any other premium Son. Yeah, those are the
Yeah,
four.
I never got too low on Kane in general. I mean, obviously as a fantasy option, avoided him for most of last season, but
Yeah.
he's a great player, great goal scorer, great footballer in general. He's just a great footballer. He actually just everything he does, there's just a lot of intelligence to his play. I really rate that in a player. But yeah, I mean, he had a bad start to the season, but you knew he was going to score goals eventually. It's Harry Kane.
Yeah, and he's back.
Yeah,
Remember those days of the August curse for Kane? I think
yeah.
that's long gone now.
It's yeah. Oh God, yeah. It was a it was a much longer. It was an autumn curse
Oh yeah, it was, yeah.
last year. Set himself a bigger challenge. Normally, he just takes the first month off. Before, let me take the first like 4 months off. See how I get on.
The other forward who has above 10% ownership is Darwin Nunes.
Yeah,
Another sexy signing,
sexy signing.
but
Yeah, because
not as sexy.
honestly, it's the price point, and I know he's coming in a lot cheaper than Haaland, so that's maybe sounds a little bit odd to say,
Yeah.
but we've spoken enough about the Liverpool front three,
Hmm.
maybe a little bit of uncertainty. But if you're going to spend £9 million on a forward, if you're going to spend £9 million on a Liverpool forward, Diego Jota.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But Diaz
So
4 million less.
maybe that kind of explains the low ownership of Nunes. Maybe people are sort of splitting that. Maybe some are just going Jota, some are going Nunes. But I know they spent a lot of money on him, but I don't necessarily think Nunes is nailed on from week one.
Yeah, I agree with that point.
Jota's a known quantity. Klopp does love Jota. I expect him to start the season, but I don't really like him at 9 million.
Yeah, you don't want too many premiums at forward, otherwise it's hard to
No,
change, and you gotta have Kane or Haaland.
no, and I think yeah, it's Kane or Haaland, and then if you're gonna go for sort of a secondary sort of big hitting option, Gabriel Jesus at 8 million is just much more enticing, I think.
Yeah, that's true. And then also with Liverpool, you got what Trent, you got Robertson, Diaz, Salah, already known quantities of FPL points. Nunes has to kind of prove himself. While
Yeah,
City have a rotation, so even if Haaland doesn't play, you expect him to play eventually.
it is weird. I mean, it does feel like we've sort of decided, despite being in completely the same circumstances, that Haaland's going to be great, and actually there's massive question marks about Nunes. We don't know.
Yeah,
It is. I mean, look, Haaland has built that reputation over a number of years. Nunes, it's more of a one season thing with him. So
yeah, and came from Benfica, while Haaland's been doing in Champions League with
yeah,
Dortmund.
yeah. So I think that's sort of why there's a little bit more uh, safety
Yeah,
or perceived safety in Haaland. Also, Manchester City don't have Mo Salah on the
yeah,
wing,
yeah, true.
stealing all the goals.
So I guess that's the template team. If you were to just look at that team, if you didn't know the percentages, what would your thoughts be? Like, do you think it'd be a good ranking team?
It feels very defense heavy, this team.
Yeah,
Because and the midfield looks a bit sparse as a result. I would prefer, rather than like a 4.5, like a 4.5 and a 5.5 in the midfield for a sort of for your team. I don't like that as an option. Sure, go with either the 4.5 or 5.5.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. But I'd want another 8 million in there, 7 or 8 million. Grealish at 7, Saka at 8. We spoke. There's a lot of 8s
Yeah.
out there. Even Manchester United are slightly enticing. Those Rashford 6.5. Martial, is he still listed as a midfielder?
Oh, he's striker at 7.
Oh, he's a striker. He's a striker at 7. But Sancho at 7.5 as well. I know there's uncertainty with United, but at those prices, I think it's worth a dip.
Yeah, it's worth the upside.
Those defenders, I think maybe two premium defenders will serve you well.
Yeah, Trent and Cancelo.
Yeah, I think so. I think Reece James would be the one I'd lose from that. But yeah, I mean, it feels like that. It's a template team for a reason.
Yeah, it's the most picked team. Yeah.
You know,
For me, I would say the players that I'm not too sure about is Mendy, James, Tomiyasu because he was injured. Then Coutinho, not really sure why he's that highly owned.
Yeah, Coutinho does really stick out like a sore thumb on this template team.
Yeah, you can understand why everyone's picked James, Mendy because Chelsea's defense can be great.
Yeah, and then they were great options last season. Coutinho was a good option for a short time, and for most of his time in the Premier League, that's how I've seen him.
Yeah,
there's always that potential that he can just go off one week and destroy Man United.
But that one.
Sorry, I had to get that one in. But yeah, we almost at this point with Coutinho, it's not a week to week thing. And if you're picking a team from weeks 1 to 8, at a time when Villa have a horrible schedule, I think it's like third toughest in terms of FPL's FDR calculations. Yeah, so I don't like him as an option.
That's fair enough. Now Q for continue to score 2 hat-tricks in a row. But yeah, that was our podcast around the templates. Let us know your thoughts. How many players do you have in this template list, and who would you change? Anyway, this is Shaw and Matt. Au revoir.
Goodbye.